I will, Hyun, not because you are saying, but this is what my heart wants me to do. Jungkook assured with head hung low. Taehyung didn't say anything and turned to go, when a hold on his wrist stopped him to go further. He turned back to saw Jungkook looking at him with guilty eyes. Hyung, you are not upset with me, right? I'm sorry. Jungkook's doe eyes shined with tears and his lips formed a small pout. Only your this bulky body makes you look like a cold CEO. Otherwise, if someone will see your face closely, I bet they will change their opinion. Taehyung joked dramatically while Jungkook sniffed, feeling offended. Tell me, you still wear diapers, right? Hyung, Taehyung bursted into laughter and engulfed the now angry looking bunny in a hug who doesn't hesitate to wrap his arms around him. I can't even blame you, Jungkook. All I just know it was your both fate. But your words and behavior was not fate, it was done by you. So if someday you feel like you are losing or everything is slipping out of your hands, then don't blame it on fate. It will be your payback. But never turn your back, fight with the consequences, and claim what your heart desires. Jungkook hummed, voice full of determination. Taeyong laughed and ruffled the youngest hairs. And yeah, one more thing, if you can't bear the consequences, can't fight for her, then I will not hesitate to take her away from you. Remember this, Jungkook. This will never happen here, and I will never let you win. You too remember this? Wine will always be the part of my life. Taeyong chuckled at his braveness. You possessive freak. You are still the same, huh? Jungkook shrugged with a smile. Not every habit changes here. Some remains the same. So, what's your plans? Taeyong asked, walking side by side with Jungkook in the corridor. Plans for what? Taeyong tilted his head in disbelief at his friend's dumbness. You want your wife or not? You know what? Let me just take her with me. A dumb bunny like you can never do anything. I do know why I even trusted and gave a chance. Jungkook's eyes widened at his words. He panicked and stopped his desperate friend. Hey, wait, yo. Why so serious? What actually I did? Taeyong sighed, looking at his innocent face, and passed him a fake smile. You did nothing, Jungkookie. Neither you can do anything. Let me take things in my genius hands. Taeyong leaves from there while mumbling some words and leaves behind a dumbfounded bunny, looking at him with confused two eyes. Jungkook stands there for a while and then left the place while scratching his head like a confused monkey. Let's take them to garden. Everyone is there. Wine said to a maid, who said to others to continue cleaning the kitchen as everyone is waiting in the garden for evening tea and snacks. Maid followed her with snacks. All family members were sitting there and talking loudly. Their laughters could be heard from the entrance of mansion. Hyung, when did you and Mr. Park become business partners? Jungkook asked Jin. You don't remember? 2 months ago, I called you and told you right that we are launching our new brand in Busan. Taking Jimin as partner was Namjoon's idea, Jin explained, and during this his eyes fall on Wine coming towards. Jin gave a general nudge in Jungkook's side to ask him something. Wine is happy with you, right? You're taking good care of my daughter-in-law or not? Jungkook gulped as Jin asked him, squinting his eyes in suspiciousness. Of course, you don't need to act like a father-in-law, because I am, as you are my adopted child. Jungkook gasped at his Hyung's choice of words. He pinched Jin's arms only to get pinched hardly in return. Oh, my thighs are thick, Jin said with a smirk. Jungkook scooted away from him, adjusting one leg on another, an attempt to hide himself from his Hyung. Give it to me, Wine. Jimin sat approaching with a helping hand. Thanks, Jimina. Jungkook was looking at them with blank eyes, while on the other side, Taehyung smirked, thinking something and scooted closer to Jungkook. He dramatically cleared his throat and sat leaning towards Jungkook. I don't think you were serious about your words, Cookie, because someone else is fulfilling your duties. Jungkook scoffed in return. By the way, don't you think Chimmy is such a husband material? You know, he's handsome, funny, cute, helpful. He possesses every quality, and same goes with Wine. They both are same and actually look good with. They closed his mouth as he received a threatening glare from Jungkook. Just my opinion. Taehyung shrugged innocently and engaged himself in another straw. Jimin and Vine were so busy in talking and laughing with each other that none of them noticed a pair of cold eyes staring at them intensely. The sun had gone down and it was getting dark. Everyone were engaged in conversation. No one noticed one whole day went by just like this. Cold wind of evening caressed their faces, bringing them back to reality, and all decided to go inside. You all take some rest. Till then, dinner will be ready, and for it, you all will be called. Mrs. Jones said, as you say, my queen. All laughed at Mr. Jones' dramatic words, while Mrs. Jones shyly smiled. Wyan and Mrs. Jones both made their way towards kitchen while discussing what to prepare for dinner. How about we prepare banana cake too? You know, some sweet after dinner? That will be good, right? An excited Wine said. Mrs. Jones smiled and nodded. How can she even say no to her loving daughter-in-law? Okay then, Oma, let me just grab some eggs. Wine took steps towards fridge, eyes still on her Oma. She didn't notice, but Mrs. Jones noticed the wet floor. Before she could aware her about it, Wine's legs slipped on it. A low scream left from her mouth as her body starts to fall back. Wine tried to balance herself by trying to hold the kitchen counter, but by doing this, a sharp pain erupted in her ankle. Before Mrs. Jones could hold her, she fell down on the floor with a loud thump. Wine, oh my god, a panicked Mrs. Jones sat, taking fast steps towards Wine. She avoided the wet floor and get down on her knees, giving support to Wine to get up, who groaned loudly when tried to get up. What happened, my child? Mrs. Jones asked, looking at her pained face. Oma, I think my ankle got twisted. Jungkook, hearing his name, Jungkook quickly turned around and hid the flaws behind himself. Yes, Hyung. Turns out it was Taehyung and Jimin. Where are you going? Why, Hyung? Well, Jin Hyung called all of us in his room. Come, let's go. You go first, I'm just coming. Taehyung got suspicious at his nervous tone. Why later? Come with us. Me and Chim are going there too. And what are you hiding? Taehyung tried to peek, but Jungkook was fast to avoid. Nothing, Hyung. You go, I'm coming in a minute. Jungkook was trying his best to hide those flaws. He can't let them see it. If they accidentally do, they will tease the hell out of him. Don't forget his overdramatic queen Jin Hyung. You sure everything is right? Of course, everything is alright. In the end, Jungkook let out a nervous laugh. He breathed in relief after seeing both of them getting away. I don't know what am I even doing this. Jungkook muttered as his steps quickened to reach kitchen faster, as he can't deal with anything anymore. Meanwhile, Taehyung turned around with a smirk on his handsome face, while internally he was squealing. Jungkook trying to be romantic, huh? Since when did this anti-romantic man start to behave like this? Taehyung looked at Jimin. You mean Beach? You are calling me that, Tete? Jimin's eyes turned puppy as his face was like he will cry any time. Jungkook carefully laid down wine on bed and adjusted pillows for her support before sitting on bed. She hissed as the pain increases more. Jungkook took one pillow, placed it under her feet before caressing the injured part of her ankle, which had swollen now. Please don't touch it. He immediately took back his hand and stood up as he saw doctor coming inside, followed by almost every family member and friends with a worried face. Joon's family doctor Kim Jong-ho checked Wine's ankle carefully. Mrs. Jeon had already informed him about Wine's injury, so he already took things with himself which will be needed. Don't worry, the ligaments just got overstretched. It's a minor sprain. He took out an elastic bandage and starts to wrap around her ankle gently. The bandage will reduce the swelling. Along with it, I will prescribe you some medicine. Please buy them. After finish bandaging it, he stands straight. It's a minor sprain, but I will advise to not walk for a few days. You can ask help. If you will take proper care, it will heal in a week. Wine nodded her head in understanding. Here are the medicines, they will help to reduce the pain. I will take my leave now. Taehyung take the paper from doctor's hand and gently bow down his head. Thank you so much for coming, doctor. Mr. Jones said, and they both waved their way outside. Are you alright now, dear? Mrs. Jones' concern for Wine was obvious, and this made Wine smile lightly. Don't worry, Oma, it's fine now. Why this happened with you, my child? I wish God did this to Jungkook, my poor child. Mrs. Jones lovingly caressed Wine's head after roasting her own son, who stared at her feeling betrayed. Mom, how could you say like this to your own son? It was not even my fault. Jungkook complained with a disbelief look on his face which made his friends laugh. Mrs. Jones looked at him with hands on her hip, glaring at him. Don't talk to me. Oma, why? He can't be able to decipher why his mother is behaving like this with him. He can't get any answer in return. His mom looked away from him. Jungkook's cheeks puffed up due to being again ignored by his mom. Jin pulled his cheek in adoration. Hyung, Jungkook screamed in pain. Okay, okay, you ungrateful child. It must be paining, right? I will go and buy these prescribed medicines, okay? Taehyung sat to Wine and left the room. Jin and Jimin come to Wine. Don't worry, Wine, you will be alright, and I'm here to entertain you anytime. You won't feel alone. Jimin kindly sat and received a sweet smile from Wine. What do you mean by anytime? Jungkook mentally questioned and then rolled his eyes. You knew, Wine, you should feel lucky that you got injured. Jimin frowned at Jin's words. And why, Hyung? Because you will get a chance to eat my handmade delicious food. Isn't it a golden chance for you? Jin proudly said. Of course, Oppa. Nice, you take rest and today is my day to shine. Well, it's nothing new to me because I always shines. Come on, auntie, let me help you today. Jin said to Mrs. Joan and they both left to make dinner. You should rest. I should help Jin here. Wine nodded to Jimin's words. After he left, there is only Wine and Jungkook in room. When suddenly he remembers something. Wait, he said and left in hurry. Wine kept looking in the direction and then shrugged. After a minute, Jungkook came inside with both hands behind his back. He looked at Wine, who was maybe looking for something. On being called, she averted her eyes to him and slowly hummed. Here, Jungkook suddenly jerks his hand forward, due to which Wine flinched. This was unexpected. Wine looked at the bouquet in his hand, whose flowers were now looking little withered. What's this for? For you, Jungkook replied shortly. Wine stared at his blank face as she grabbed the bouquet from him. Both are awkward now, but why so sudden? I think I should take a shower. I'm sweating. Jungkook uttered in hurry and ran inside washroom. Within a second, he come out with an embarrassed face. I forgot my clothes. He passed a nervous smile and went inside closest, grabbed a pair of casual clothes, calmed his heart, and again ran inside washroom. Wine couldn't help but chuckle at her husband's nervousness. She looked at the flowers in her hand with soft gaze and buried her nose into the delicate petals, though they couldn't hide her shy smile. She has never expected that one day her life will turn like this. The sudden happiness she is feeling weird about this. Jungkook came out drying his hair. He didn't even glance at her as the boy was hella awkward and nervous. Same goes with Vine. Someone knocked on door. It was Jimin. May I come in? Why are you asking Jimin? Come. The look Jungkook gave to his wife was like, excuse me. Of course he needs permission. He secretly rolled his eyes and deliberately ignored Jimin's presence and continued doing his night routine. As you can't walk for a few days, so your original mother-in-law ordered to deliver your food in your room. It didn't take much time to Wine to know about the person. She chuckled and nodded. Jimin smiled and put the bed tray in front of her. Enjoy your mother-in-law's handmade food, Jimin joked, on which both of them laughed. Okay, enjoy now. Jimin was about to go when his eyes fell on Jungkook. Mr. Jeon, dinner is ready. I will be there in few minutes. Thank you, Mr. Park. No problem, Mr. Jeon. Jimin smiled and leaves from there. After adjusting his hair, which was still slightly wet, Jungkook put the towel on chair and turned to look at Vine, who was struggling to keep her hair behind. She looked here and there, probably was looking for something, but when she couldn't find it, her shoulders dropped down in disappointment. A throaty chuckle escaped his lips looking at her small face, which was changing expression every second. He looked back and grabbed a hair tie from the dressing table before taking steps towards her. Wine decided to make a bun as he couldn't find any hair tie near her. She was about to grab her hairs, but before it someone else did. Tilting her head a little, Wine saw Jungkook beside her holding her hairs. She gave him a confused look. I will do it. With only these words, her heart skipped a beat. She just nodded in tinny and turned her face, having no other choice. Jungkook first gathered her all hairs in one hand with the help of other. Doing this, he was looking all focused, like he's preparing an important file. Wine could feel his gentle touches on her skin when he was gathering her long wavy hairs. When Jungkook thought every single hair strand in his hand, he tied them at one place with the help of a tie. Done. Jungkook stated proudly, like he completed a hard and dangerous mission. You can eat now without any difficulty. Wine thanked him and starts to eat her dinner. She slightly peeked to him and found him staring at her. It caused her to choke. Jungkook immediately passed her water and slightly rubbed her back. Are you okay? Wine gulped down water and slightly nodded. Jungkook puts back the glass and stands up straight. Why he's not going? Wine thought and again looked at him. Do you need anything else? No. Wine hesitated for a few seconds before she again spoke. You will not eat dinner. Of course, in fact I'm hungry. His face was little blank. Then go. If you are hungry, then go. Why are you standing here like a bodyguard? Jungkook was dumbfounded at her words. Excuse me. Wine rolled her eyes, feeling irritated, and Jungkook noticed it. Did you just roll your eyes on me? You saw, right? Then why are you asking to me? Jungkook was in shock at her boldness. What magical happened that his quiet wife, who used to be so scared to let out a word, now is talking boldly? You are still here. Jungkook blinked his eyes to confirm he is in real world or not. He looked at her for a few seconds and went outside while his mind is still processing her words. She is not Wine, right? He said to himself, while Wine laughed as she actually heard his words. She shook her head as she can't believe that he is her the same husband who used to behave like a gold mafia but now actually turned into a clueless child. After dinner, when Jungkook returned back to room, Wine was reading a book. She was extremely focused on reading the fantasy book in her hand that she didn't even notice another person in the room. Having no intention of disturbing her peaceful time, Jungkook silently sneaked towards the small glass table situated near the window on which some files and his laptop was placed. It was only 8 o'clock, so the hardworking, passionate CEO decided to finish some of his work. The room was filled with peaceful silence. It seemed like no one is there. When the eye starts to feel heavy due to sleep, Wine removes her gaze from book to look for time, but it falls on the person sitting on couch, eyes digging into his laptop like always. Having no idea when did Jungkook came here, Wine shrugged her curiosity away. She placed the book on the bedside table after adding a bookmark. She stared at bathroom door, then Jungkook, and then again bathroom door. At the end, she finally took a decision of standing by herself. With slow motion, she dragged her legs round the bed, but before they could touch the floor, a deep voice stopped her movement. What are you trying to do? Wine looks up and finds her husband coming towards her with quick steps. I just wants to use washroom. Wine offered reasoned response to his question. And who allowed you? Do I need permission to go there too? Absolutely right. Wine was taken back by his words, but its urge. Her words died down in her throat, and instead a gasp left from her mouth when suddenly Jungkook lifted her up in his arms and starts to walk in the direction of washroom. In between, her eyes didn't left his face. His every feature was admired by her, and he could feel it, but decides to stay silent, like he wants this too, wants her to keep looking at him like this. Jungkook placed her down while one hand still holding her. Wine held the wall to balance herself, and when she was sure there is no chances of her falling, she lifted her head to look at him. I am okay now. Jungkook nodded and slowly left her hand. By the look on his face, Wine could say he is still not sure, and it made her happy. I can manage, don't worry. Jungkook went outside, feeling a little assured by her words, but for the rest of assurance, he decided to stand beside the door after closing it. Leaning against the wall, hands crossed over his chest, he turned his head and his gaze directly fell on the moon. It always reminds him of her, just like it shining brightly in between the darkness of night. She too always shines, even after being all alone. They both are just like stars and moon, are in the same sky but still apart from each other. But they look incomplete without each other, just like us.